channel. So some of y'all really enjoyed the video I did this week talking about black women. I think I'm gonna start a channel just talking about things that are important for black women to know. So I've been getting so many downloads. My brain is over flooded with downloads ever since I did that video talking to black women about giving up modern activities. So obviously, I have ancestors on the other side who are of color, and they really want me to keep it real and talk more to people, especially talk about some issues that are affecting black women. Now, my videos are not to leave out any race, but I'm going to be talking about some things in the video that's going to specifically say is especially important for black women. Okay, so if you're on your morning hike, I will try to keep the video soft so you can enjoy your hike in peace. What I mean by soft mean no crazy fights in the morning live videos. I tend to kick negative people out without warning in the morning live videos. Okay, so I was talking to my ancestors this morning. They were telling me about uh, black people, especially black women. We need to stop wanting compassion. People get nourished and fed when they feel they gave us compassion and we liked it. People get empowered by that. People can get empowered in dopamine from so many things, including compassion towards a group that is abused a lot. Some people think that they're doing their race culture duty by giving us compassion, that relieves them of previous disrespect, that they can live in denial about how they used to think about us and how they used to treat us. If this world had compassion for us, they should have gave it to us a long time ago. It's a little bit too late to be showing compassion now, especially people that's over 40 that's not black. Your compassion is coming late. We've made it this far without it, so we're going to go for farther without it. And that's how I feel as a black woman, and that's how I think black women should feel. We should want comfort that we have given ourselves, and for people to just respect our comfort when we're in the comfort energy. I know there's a lot of people who may be like, well, it seems like Miss V's playing favorites. But why is it that every time a black woman go hard for her group, she's playing favorites? When that's the story of our life as a black woman, seeing everybody play favorites around us. So, as they say, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. Black women need deep rest so we can really feel and see who we dealing with. And we can see how many cycles we've been in, toxic cycles. Black women are hardcore fixer-uppers. And because we are in that energy a lot, we don't see the cycle, the negative cycle that we're stuck in, someone got us in, where the relationship is never going to be fixed. And we just say we're going to fix it, we're going to fix it. We need deep rest so that we can feel how toxic a situation is. We can't even barely feel how strong toxicity is now because we've been exposed to it too much. You know, like when someone smokes cigarettes so long, they can't even smell the cigarette smoke. Black women have been exposed to so much toxicity that the numbingness, the bits of flows of numbingness towards the toxicity has not allowed us to tell how toxic situations are now. So we need to deep rest so we can peacefully reflect to see how toxic our situations are. This is a morning deep conversation. I really hope that the black women and even the non-black people who watch this video understand just how hellified life has been for black women, to the point where a lot of us, we can't even sense toxicity no more. It's just become the norm. It's just become the norm. It's like, oh, well, that's my everyday. But meanwhile, our body is still feeling the impact. The trauma and the chakras is still there. We may not feel it on the surface of our mind, how toxic things are anymore, because we have learned how to adapt. And that's another thing as black women. Deep rest is not so you can adapt to traumatic situations. Deep rest is for you to get help from holy beings that have this not on this side, that have nothing to do with your trauma. I was in a habit of myself as a black woman going into deep rest so I can adapt more with the current toxicity that I happen to feel. Going into deep rest so I can clear out my feelings about the toxicity so I don't be an angry black woman. Going into deep rest so that I can figure out how to get unstuck from my losses that multiple people help create for me, or because I'm being me. No more deep rest for that. Deep rest is to serve yourself. Once you're done, then you serve. Black women, a lot of y'all have served enough, and a lot of people will say, well, that's not true. I've lived in the ghetto and I've seen black women rushing Kool-Aid to each other's doors, sugar, taking in each other's kids, babysitting, giving rides. I went to Georgia and I was in Georgia 5 minutes in my brother's neighborhood, and black women was coming out asking me if I need help because they knew I wasn't from Georgia. Black women help more than people know we help. The problem is it's not that publicized, it's not that recorded, and people act like it's just something that we owe to the world, so it's no big deal to talk about. But black women are running around thick. There's a huge population of black women thick because they will not deep rest for themselves. Their cortisol is staying high. And the only reason why they're not getting morbidly obese, a lot of us aren't getting morbidly obese, is because some of that deep rest that we're doing to be able to serve other people is still kind of serving us. But we need deep rest to serve ourselves more, so our cortisols will get low, so we will stop dropping dead in our 50s. So we will stop dropping dead before 70. We get the amino acids and the vitamins and we sweat it out. Why? Because we think participating in arguments with toxic people is the solution. It is not the solution. The solution is minimalistic survival tactics of your personality within spats. This means little spats with people, pulling out your most survival tactic of your personality and keeping it moving. Keeping it moving so your cortisol do not get too high. High cortisol affects the mental health. 6 hours of rest to a black woman is only 3. If you got kids as a black woman, if you've been divorced, if you had to work under toxic people toxic white folks in America, especially in the North, your sleep is not as powerful. Your trauma is not letting you go deep enough to get cleansed in the metaphysical world. Fear is there when you sleep. Anxiety is still there. So your sleep is not as abundant. Black women need to take naps. Just saying I'm going to bed early ain't enough. If your rest is not, I'm telling you no lie, I've been testing this out. I've been testing this out. How many people are rushing to your self-care? I'm talking to the black women. How many people rushing in and saying, I got you, other than the man you're sleeping with? There's even black women today that's like, me, myself, and I. Because they're afraid to rush in anymore. Because nobody was really rushing in for them. Now, you know it's like this. So you know you need more rest than you used to get. You know you cannot settle for 5 hours of sleep. You need God a lot more, a lot longer, a lot stronger than a lot of people. You have been the laughing stock. You have been the favorite beat up doll. You have been the free buffet. You have been the trendsetter to be used. You have been the baby mama to beat up on. You have been the daughter to gaslight and the pimp. Some of these old women from back in the days pimping their own daughters. It's the truth. So instead of pimping their sons, they pimping their daughters. That's a trending thing that's going on now. People treating their daughters like their black daughters, treating their black daughters like they're their husbands. You know this, so you need to prioritize your relationship with God through your day. There is no scheduled church time anymore. I know we missed that energy. Oh, we're going to church Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to wake up and just get my prayers in. Your prayers need to happen all day. You know the next 4 years, you know these 4 years, people are going to be so comfortable with how they act and treat you. So comfortable where they think whatever they had to think about you was validated by this election. They're going to be so comfortable sitting around and being an accomplice to pissing on your name. You know this. So you need to see silence and quiet as a gold mine for you now, all day long. Listen to the same videos less. Glamorize saying no all day. Wake up and say, what can I say no to? What can I say no to? I already know that I'm used to saying yes. Yes, I'll cook you dinner. Yes, I got you. Yes, you can get a ride. Yes, what can I wake up and say no to? That's the vacation that we need. We don't need expensive vacations to the Bahamas. I see black women love to go to the Bahamas. Go to the Bahamas with the way you feel because you see the benefits of glamorizing saying no. It's extra beneficial to you because you know you have a problem with that. My daughter messaged me a couple days ago and said, I'll be over Monday. I said, I don't know. I got to check my schedule. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I said, I'll let you know within 24, 48 hours. But don't you sit up there and say, I'm going to see you Monday. No, you don't. You don't own me. Just because I birthed you don't mean you own my time. And will this rub her the wrong way? Yeah, but I really don't care. I'm tired of people owning my time as a black woman. And then I'm in survival energy the rest of the day or rest of the week because I ain't really getting no me time in mentally or spiritually like I need it. This is the realest talk, y'all. Spell work is heavily on black women. So our days of glamorizing eating is over. Eating is for power if you're a black woman. Eating is not for entertainment no more for you. Eating is for eating is for strength and mental clarity and spiritual upgrade for black women now. No more dates to go out to eat for entertainment. No more lunch dates with female associates in your neighborhood. None of that. If we go out to eat, whatever I go out to eat is for my mental health. And I'm not going out to eat to hear you trauma dump. I'm going out to eat with you for inspiration. So what do you got to say to me on this date that will inspire me? Because you know that I definitely need money. Because I got to fight. I got to fight for it like a lone wolf for the money. So I need inspirational friends. I need inspiring family members. I don't need comforting family members. And I'm just saying it as a black woman, okay? I need inspiration. I need an answer. Because questions are in me all day, every day. I wouldn't have all these questions if I had people teaming up with me. They would be giving me the answers before I even gave the questions. But I don't have teams like that. No black women really do. So, okay, if I'm going to have two people even in my life now, they need to be people that love to inspire me. That means they got to talk about things that I want to talk about. They got to talk about things that's already a part of my life. They got to talk about things that are challenges for me, especially with my gender and my race, because that's all connected also to my manifestation and my metaphysical being. So I need to see what people are talking about. I'm saying to myself too, and the black women on this channel, you need to be screening these conversations to ask yourself, was anything about it inspiring? Because I'm a person that needs deep rest. So I really don't, I always need deep rest. I need deep rest all the time. Like I always need woman stuff. Every single day I can think of something that I need as a woman. Every single day. Every single day. So if as a woman we always need every monthly something we need. The point that I'm making is I need to not waste my rested energy time that I rested. I don't need to waste it on something that's not enlightening. Yes, I am the mother teacher of the world, but I am not the mother dumpster of the world. I have to pay for therapy. No one's coming in and giving me free therapy. Then that means everybody else got to pay for therapy. Everybody else. Or just enjoy what I'm currently teaching. When black women have mental health problems, people say you go to your doctor, go see a therapist. They don't want to hear our mouth. Some of our mouths is too deep. Some of our strength is too intimidating when we talk about our pain. So people say, go to your doctor. Well, black women start sending people to their doctor too. Now I'm here to enlighten and inspire, just like you are. But I'm really not required to be a social therapist. This is real. I'm not required to be a touch therapist. Some black women are touch therapists. They don't even know that they are. They got men and people checking in just doing this. And the black woman's like, well, what about my hurt? What about my feelings? What about what I wanted to talk about. They don't want to talk to me. They just want to touch me. Some of our energy is so powerful and strong because we learned how to fight energetically because we got to do it every day. And our energy is so strong that people are like, I just want some of it, even just to have free touch therapy. And you say, well, they didn't dump on me. So why do I still feel tired? Because they did free touch therapy. Went like this. I've had so many people show up just for that in my life. They didn't ask me how I was doing. They didn't ask me what poem I wrote. How's my YouTube? It was, it's good to see you. No. No free stuff, no free touch therapy, no free social therapy, and no free financial therapy. No, we ain't doing that either. We're not doing that either. Black women need to be in the energy of, there's 3 things I don't do for free no more. Emotional and mental health therapy, physical therapy, whether it's touch, intimacy therapy. People say it's loving you, but really it's loving themselves. The third thing is financial therapy. Free financial therapy. Take this money, or you got in financial trouble. Here, take this money. Take some out this kitchen for free. Take these free bus tickets. No, none of that. None of that. Because how many people have specially marched for you? They would rather go ahead and vote and make you think they was willing to give your genetics a chance just to see what your genetics can do as president. They want you to think they did it. Not everybody did. Not everybody, and I know there's some black people that voted for Trump. But it's not about using the excuse of who was the better president, who would be a better president. It was about no one has given us a chance, and it's our time to have a chance. It is our time. If it wasn't our time, the people that didn't give us a chance, they wouldn't be suffering the way they are. So everybody who didn't vote for Kamala, pray that you don't have karma. If the voting was right, the world would not be in such panic energy. The non-black world would not be in such panic energy. They wouldn't be treated. They wouldn't be being treated the way we was treated. Beat up, kicked down, dragged. Why are they being treated that way when they could just be handcuffed and taken deported? They getting the treatment that our ancestors got because it's called karma. It's called karma. So my point, when black women, when you make decisions and when you vote, you must be sure of your intuition. Don't sit up there and just go on what you see the campaigns are. And I'm talking about this because the word politics was coming to me, and then it came out in my book today. Okay? My mother was a Black Panther and an activist, and it came out as a synchronicity. Came to my mind, and it came out as a synchronicity when I opened this book. Black women have to intuitively select, because people are so good at being phony in your face. Even election people. When you see presidents that try, let me tell you right now, black women, always be suspicious of non-black presidents who say they're for you. If they didn't exactly say that, if they didn't already create opportunities for you, why would you automatically think they would be better? I mean, Trump could have made opportunities for you before this election. We could have had more grants for black women. We could have had Well, I mean, the way we have been treated, don't you think we need one day a year just like the LGBTQ? The way we have been treated, we need one day a year just like the Pride people. We haven't even got that. We haven't even got that because we're being gaslighted. All the black woman inventors, don't you think we deserve one day a year? All the black women who have been nannies, who help take care of the kids so the white man's farms are abundant. All those women picking out cotton because their hands are small, that was out up in those fields picking out cotton, making a white population rich. All those, I'm talking about black women making a white population rich, picking out cotton, hands nice and little, able to go like that. All the black women who were putting bullets in guns during the Civil War because their hands are so petite. That literally was murdered in factories and said it was an accidental dynamite bomb. Come on, y'all. I don't even want to get into that story. I'm going to talk about some history when I talk to black women. So y'all can remember the past will teach you why the present is the way it is. It will remind you. It will remind you how long did negative energy been going down over the years towards you. Now people can say, well, this sounds like a black woman. This playing the victim card. Where is our opportunities? I'm just listening. I'm just listening. Where's the affirmative action for our positions? They generalize it because then that allows them to pick gay people, black men, or Asian men, or white women. The underdogs of underdogs, they do not want to set up special protection. They don't want to say we have to put out so many movies with black women in powerful roles because we have went too far with the negative energy to them. They have yet to do that. And when they do that, we will stop telling the truth about how we're treated. We won't make people feel like we're playing the victim. If these conversations make people uncomfortable, that's good news for me. This should make non-blacks very uncomfortable. Good news. If this makes you as a black woman say, well, I don't really be thinking about how bad it is. You know why you don't think about how bad it is for you? Because you have been taught to look on the bright side. Optimist. That's what our ancestors were taught to. Well, at least you got pork. At least you got a fire pit. At least you got a shack. You could be hanging from a tree. We've been taught that optimism. But let me tell you, optimism still does not deny the truth. The truth is the truth. You can look on the bright side all you want. But if it's the truth, the truth will follow you. The truth will pop up again right when you're being optimistic. I was like that. I was so optimistic about my relationships. I was so optimistic. But at least this and this, at least this. But that was me trying to keep the relationship into good survival mode rather than making sure that I'm actually truly happy with the situation. No more settling for just gratitude for what works in something, black women. You need to go to bed with a smile on your face too. Not just with a softer frown. Not just with a weaker bitch face. Just black women say, well, I don't walk around with the B face because I'm optimistic. But are you walking around unable to hold back a smile? No, you're not. No, you're not. So that means The truth is not ready to be buried. The truth of how you're treated is not, it still needs to be dealt with. I can remember a time back in the 90s where it was smiley, 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 smiley. Why? Because the truth was there was opportunities. There was resources available to us. It was affordable resources. There was more. But now as it becomes less and less and less and less, but just enough so that we don't tear down America. There's enough so we don't tear down America. I consider the American government, Congress, to be narcissistic. Tiny morsels, just enough that we don't pack our bags and leave today. Just enough that we feel like at least we're moving a half an inch forward every season. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to spend almost my whole life just getting to the point of being able to smile every day and through my day. Why should it take my whole lifetime to get that energy? And I know people say, well, love to tell black women, that's your responsibility. Really? Okay, then you better not look for support either. You better not need confirmation and validation for your beauty and for your emotional health. You give it up too and see if you'll be saying that what you're saying to me. Hi, everybody. A lot of people don't wake up in this energy. A lot of people wake up and they're like, I just want peace and quiet. And think that's just enough. I wake up ready to fight the good fight. Like Madam C.J. Walker say. I wake up like, what ignorance, what gaslighting, what disrespect am I dealing with today? Because I could walk around and pretend like it's not looking for me, but it is. And if it do find me, because I got a frown on my face, somebody will say I manifested. Know darn well that this world has been mentally programmed to project on me, to put me into some special screening booth. I know this. I can feel it. I get enough deep rest where I can sense it. Black women, y'all need to start sensing your enemies coming from a mile away. Not till after you've had them. Not till after y'all been standing around each other for 10, 15 minutes. You need to be able to sense it when you walk in a room. Okay, what's the percentage of the negative energy when I walk through this crowd? Oh, it's pretty strong. Okay, I know not to come here no more. No conversation needed. No conversation needed. Trust your intuition. The world wants to disarm your intuition. Optimism can sometimes be demonic because it tells you you don't need intuition. Just keep looking on the bright side. I have a limit to my optimism. I'm an evidence-based person now. The evidence tell me whether my optimism is necessary in a situation and whether it has expired. Well, my optimism has expired here. I'm going to have to pack my bags and roll because I'm just wasting my energy trying to stay optimistic when the enemy's not optimistic. They're optimistic about their negative behavior. They're not optimistic about us working things out. So I don't need to be optimistic either. Y'all. All right. I think that black women, especially when we get in deep rest, I think that we need to be thinking about our survival skills that has nothing to do with backbreaking work. Nothing to do with it. We need survival skills of the mind. We need survival skills of our tongue and our language. We need survival skills of our way of being so that people can understand that we have less than zero tolerance for disrespect and shade and manipulation. Zero. Wit is a superpower for black women. If you're witty, practice it. Somebody get negative, get witty, get sassy, and move on. People are jealous of the sassiness of black women. They know that it's not pushing that black woman way over the edge so they can say masculine. They know it's not doing that. Let people come to you to want a solution with y'all. Let people come to you and tell you what they need. Tell you, say, I need this. Let them come to you. Don't ask nobody what they need no more. If they ain't already been looking out for you, don't ask them what they need. I have people on this channel who I email and say, well, what do you need? What do you know? What do you want me to talk about? Blah, 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 blah. Because they look out for me. But somebody who has never cared about me, a complete stranger or a family member that's estranged, I'm not asking them what they need. Even if they come here, I'm not going to say, do you need anything? Let your family members who are capable of working ask you what they need. Tell you what they need. Let them come to you in the morning and say, can you make me breakfast? Let them come to you in the morning and say, can you do my laundry? Would you be willing to? Let them, don't go in no more. Don't rush in no more. Because it might serve you energetically as a little bit spiritually to rush in to help people. But to be honest, you can get that being alone in deep rest energy. So really, if you're going to really, it needs to serve you in some obvious way. If I'm a rush in to people who don't rush in with me, it's going to be because I know already there's going to be an obvious physical way that I am going to benefit. Most of the world that be surrounding black women are opportunists. And they tell us we wrong, we gold diggers when we say I want to benefit too. Then I guess I'm a gold digger then. Then I guess I'm all about my money. I guess I am. I really don't care what anyone else think. And that's how black women need to be. Okay. You're saying, how is this benefiting me? Black women, you're a gold digger? I guess I am. I guess I am an opportunist. You know you saying that in your mind when you see me. You're saying it in your mind. At least one of us is bold enough to say it out loud. At least I'm keeping it real. I'm telling you how, I'm asking you, how is this benefiting me? How is doing your laundry benefiting me? Did I already benefit for me to do your laundry? If the biblical scriptures say give and take, then stop calling yourself and take and give as well, back and forth. If the biblical scriptures say that's the way energy flow, then stop apologizing. Stop apologizing for being in that energy. Black women, you don't need people to compliment you and validate your beauty. You know it's already validated. Come on now. People getting tans, people trying to get thicker hair, people trying to get higher cheekbones, bigger lips, all that stuff. Come on now, you don't need no more validation for that. You don't need nobody to come around you to tell you how gorgeous you are. You don't need confirmation. Just look around you and you'll see so many people are trying to step into a part of your energy, your beauty energy, and trying to act like you're not. What you need is people who will sign up to help you clean. You know people have been crapping in your energy field, your metaphysical space, and dirtying up your energy and your mental health and all that for years. You need cleaners so you can focus on being the creator that you're supposed to be. You was the number one creator, the number one. First body on this earth, oldest body found on this earth. You started all creation of life. You started it. You need the time aside for that. You need worker bees. People say flowers thrive when they're pollinated and all that type of stuff. Okay, then you need worker bees. Then you need family members who's willing to help you clean. Because you, believe it or not, you're a powerful creator. You have a lot of babies. Some of y'all get pregnant real fast over anything, so quick, all of that. You are an empress. The sea is an empress, meaning you're going to get plenty of ideas. You're going to get plenty ways to manifest. That's not going to be your struggle energy. As long as you're pure, you're being pure, that's not going to be your struggle energy. You just can't waste your sexual energy. Black women are becoming so powerful right now because they didn't stop wasting their sexual energy by being celibate. A celibate black woman is one of the biggest threats to society. They are to be feared. They are to be feared. Because nobody expects a black woman to be celibate and pure and say, well, I'm not running up my body count, trusting these different men who running up their body count and dumping the energy on me, and I'm a receiver, so I'm receiving all the energy of the people they slept with. People don't expect black women to be like, I don't want none of that energy. I'm cool. Legs closed. Legs closed with super glue. Mouth closed sexually from sex. My mouth is sealed from any kind of sex. When a black woman getting that energy, she is a powerful being in this world. A black woman in a black community celibate is one of the most powerful beings in that community, spiritually. And when you get in that energy as a black woman, you teach people energetically how to treat you. You don't got to open your mouth no more. If anything, people will think you're alien. Some people may think you're alien because they just not used to feeling that type of energy so strong coming from a black woman. Black women, y'all want to believe in true love so much, the words of people, but them days is over. We need action. Action is the only proof to you. And when you say, until I get consistent action, it's going to stay a give and take situation. My generosity goes only to those who have taught me consistently that they can have honor with me. You know, that's the word that's missing. Honor. Like, what happened to honors? It's been shoved in the closet, deep in the dark of some closet now. It's like nobody see that word is important anymore. Like honoring thy family, honoring thy creator, honoring your culture. I'm trying to understand why people feel like it's so comfortable not honoring the word honor. And it's just wow. I had a talk with a family member the other day. I said, yeah, you might give stuff, you might help out with stuff, but you don't got no honor. You disrespectful behind my back. You don't honor me as a person. You don't honor our legacy. You don't honor the work that I've done for us. You don't honor our family name. You're shaming it. You don't have no honor. And they didn't know what to say. I said, oh, you forgot that that's a part of a family contract. You know, no talking about people like a dog all because you had a tiny little fight. That's dishonorable. That would be dishonorable in the military. I really do think, baby, maybe, especially in black families, it needs to be run like the military. That's what I think it's coming down to now. It's coming down to that. Anybody got the little slightest dishonor, you're out. You're kicked out. No appreciation for your teammates, out. Ain't willing to fight for your family, out. That's how the military would do it. I think that we do need people in higher up positions in the black communities that will run that community like they run in a darn boot camp. Okay? And then we will be strong enough to deal with the disrespect in other communities. I think that sometimes we in the black community, black women especially, is a little bit too lenient and casual with each other's energy. I think we are. Not seeing us as a collective, as a military team. Realize, not forgetting that we're still in a fight with people who are smiling in our face because they're not going to give up their privileges. They're not going to give up their protective their protective benefits. They're not going to give it up. And they're going to use excuses and gaslight. We know they're going to do that. They're going to try to say, well, I just have a better personality as you. We know this. Even if we say, no, I didn't do nothing wrong here. I was good here too. I was kind. I helped out like you. It'll still be, well, they just like me and not like you. It'll always be something. So since we know this, we need to be militarized with each other. Regardless. Yeah, we can extend respect and peace to other communities, but we still need to work military like within our own group. And if people have a problem with that, then you know what? Why is it okay for Jewish people to be in that energy? Why is it okay for East Indian people to be in that energy and Asian people? Soon as black people talk about we still need to be militarized within our own group, suddenly we're disrespecting other groups. Suddenly we're playing the victim card. Suddenly we're trying to expect special benefits. When Jewish people say, when they talk about the Holocaust, when they talk about their prediction number of how many of them were murdered, did they count all the bodies? No. So it's an estimate. It's an estimate number. They can talk about that and there's no victim card. They can talk about that and say this is why we are separating ourselves from society. We just don't trust society anymore publicly with our energy. Everybody's okay with that. But I'm trying to understand why black people won't be in that energy, or why people want to tell us or we are wrong when one of us show up and say, well, we still have to be in that energy. If you think Irish people aren't united, they are. I know, I have Irish people in my family. They are thick as thieves. They're like this. Even if they fight, disagree, whatever, they still say, we're going to stand for each other no matter who's around. Black women, we know that our race is not in that energy because so many of us have been brainwashed to glorify the power of other groups. But that don't mean that black women can't be in that energy. We can still be in our energy with our gender and our race. If black men don't want to join us, cool. Okay? How many marches are you going to do for them? If they don't want to join you, let them not join you. And them voting, even that percentage, no, that percentage should have been almost 100. Because didn't you go 100 when you was marching? Haven't you been going 100 for the black man? I'm just saying, like, it's funny how as black women, we always accept what can be almost a little bit more than crumbs. No, 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 no. It's either people go all in or don't even come in for us no more. We've been accepting people going half 1 foot into our 1 foot in on our support. Those days is over. You either all in or don't even come in, don't even support black women. And black women need to say that. There's years and years and years of years owed to us of respect. Respect. And people can say all they want. What makes you deserving of respect? What makes you deserving of respect? If anyone's going to say that. What makes me deserving of disrespect? Because the opposite of respect is disrespect. So what makes me deserving of disrespect if you question my deserving of respect? I'm a very wise woman. I know when someone's doing backhanded talk and flip-flopping on me with their words. So I expect respect because I don't give disrespect. So I say this. I'm not going to be argued with about expecting respect. I don't see too many black women out here in these streets just disrespecting people left and right. I don't even know where that came from. If somebody's walking down the street angry with the B face on their face, they ain't disrespecting nobody. As a matter of fact, they don't even want to talk to nobody. I don't really want to talk to nobody when I'm in a bad mood. So how disrespectful can I be? Unless somebody say, don't frown. If somebody say, don't frown, you got an angry look on your face, then I might get disrespectful because they're trying to tell me what to do with my own face. I might put them in their place then, which isn't disrespectful because they should be telling me what to do with my own face. However, I'm allowed to look angry. And when you have deep rest, black women, you start to say, I'm allowed to feel how I feel. There's no running from it, denying, shopping, cleaning, TV watching, gossiping to avoid it. No, you face your feelings and you say, I'm going to let myself feel this way. And then when you come out the deep rest, you know who you go towards. You know who you go towards. You go towards other black women. You don't get out of deep rest and start chasing energy of people that you don't know. You get out of deep rest and you go to videos of other black women who empower you, who build you up, who speak up for you. You watch those videos. You say, do not recommend of all videos that disrespect you or that say any stereotypes about you. You don't go to those videos when you get out of deep rest because let me tell you, they might be affecting you inside more than you know. Because who knows how many times that they already did the negative stereotypes. And we talked about percentages in the last few videos about the percentage and degree and the weight of the pain. Stereotypes can cause pain just emotionally and mentally. You know, all the negative stereotypes that people put on you that nobody else, yet they can still be under a stereotype. There could be a such thing as an angry white woman, but somehow it's never going on, even though we know there's criminals who were white women and they were angry. But anyway, the point that I'm making is when you get your deep rest in as a black woman, you need to be like, okay, I just need to make sure I keep this strength that I got. I have to protect it. When I woke up this morning, I said, I'm going to protect my strength. I'm going to start glamorizing and glorifying disappearing acts. Yeah. I figured out something with black women that I don't think a lot of black women even know, but a lot of black women have a hard time disappearing. I think that we think people ain't gonna make it without us. My auntie, my grandma, my daughter, everybody's not gonna make it without us, because we're just this receiver and people's problems, trauma, complaints, whatever. I think we have to learn how to disappear so that we can also let everybody deal with their own drama and we can be at peace with our own. I know that white women are really good at disappearing. There are white women around here that will disappear like that. You will think they don't even live in their house anymore. And then all of a sudden you will see them. I don't see black women in that energy even around here. I see them sitting outside, walking, talking in the street, running their mouth with different people outside, sitting on their porches, running their mouth. They got people coming and going a lot or whatever. They trying to always pair up with their walks. I'm seeing black women do this. No, we need disappearing acts. Okay? That's a form of a mini deep rest. That's a mini rest. Disappear. Not necessarily to go meditate. Just so that you can someone don't always have access to your energy. I have a family member who has a partner that don't respect them, and I want to tell them it's because you don't disappear. I see how when they call you answer. When you always calling on when you in need. Look, even when you in need, sometimes you stay disappeared. You just go to a source that you never been to before. And I know that's hard for some black women because that means you're going to have to trust the unknown and trust people who might not like you. You might have to do some little test out here and meet new people, but that's just the way the world is. A lot of black women, a part of their spiritual challenge is to go into the unknown and take leaps. I've been on buses, I've been on planes, and I've seen way more white people, non-black people on them. It's because we like to stay with the familiar. We like to stay with what's safe. We don't want to disappear. We want to say it's vacation. Who told you that you need a scheduled vacation? Why can't your entire life be a vacation, black woman? Why are you saying you're scheduling time off? And you know that if you was in a room of coworkers and the boss was passing out work, they would give you more work. For black women, every day, a part of your day needs to be a vacation. That's what it's come down to. You're feeling the stress and the trauma of generations and generations of your family energetically. Your ancestors' energy of what they've gone through. You're still feeling that. You're feeling it. Some of y'all got unexplained depression and grief. It's spiritual. It's spiritual had passed down to you. I say if you can't get at least 1 hour of vacation time in a day, and it's not, I mean, every day, and it's not because, oh, you're trying to recover. No, it's because I am trying to just enjoy my life being black because I want to be black because this is who I am. I'm just enjoying it, enjoying my day. I'm not running for nothing from nothing because I don't care if people go. If I feel like I had to run from you, then you need to go ahead and you should have been gone. You probably should have been gone. That's another thing. If you are trying to recover from stuff all the time, something should have been gone. Something season has passed. So you don't need a vacation. You need a final exit. That's what you need. I don't need a vacation from my toxic family members who just refuse to keep me, to stop me refuse to respect me and always making me having to protect my energy, protect my energy. No, I don't want vacations to protect my energy. I want to go on vacations because I just like to go on vacations or staycations. I really think that vacations was invented by the slave master because I highly doubt that the white workers had to beg and grovel for vacations. I highly doubt that was going on in the 1800s. So I think this whole scheduled vacation once a month or once a year, to me, it's just, mm-mm. No. No, it's kind of passively a way to control your energy as a black person. I remember when I worked at a certain company, when I started using some of my PTO, they started trying to say they was going to write me up. Why? Because they didn't want me to feel like I was on vacation. So they told me my scheduled vacation day. Meanwhile, they was taking PTO at any time. All the white employees, the lady under me, the lady above me, they was all taking PTO anytime. When I went to complain about it, she said, "Oh, you're non-union." And I started to say, "But so are you. Like, aren't you non-union?" And I knew that she would probably try to set me up and get me fired at that point. So that was one of the reasons why I resigned from my job. Um, that led me to be a more free-spirited person. I now don't care what I get done or get finished for other people. I don't care when I get it done because I know that if I care about that, then I'm gonna be in that I need to schedule vacation time energy. I don't want that. I want my life every day where I close my eyes and it feel like I did vacation stuff. So your best life is putting your head down on a pillow and saying, I did my day exactly how I wanted to do my day. I didn't compromise. I did not apologize. You don't want to clean, black women? Because you know how we taught. If you ain't clean, a black woman, you disrespecting your grandma's energy. You know you was taught to clean all day. No, I'm not, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I cleaned the microwave today. Okay, I did clean it. Here's the last download I wanted to give y'all. I got today that cleaning is supposed to be like medicine and meditation, but it's not supposed to be the dominant meditation energy. Okay? And I will explain this. Our ancestors, when they were living around the fire pit, they was not doing cleaning like we doing. They had the fire pit, the tent was folded, dusted out or whatever. They might have just washed their 1 week of clothes and that was it. They really didn't have to wash toilets every day or things like that every day. Even when they was using in the 1800s buckets or whatever, there was always someone who would take turns cleaning it or whatever. The point that I'm making is that as African Americans, we know we have a history of our ancestors being cleaning slaves. So if you're going to be in cleaning energy, you need to make sure that it's because you know it's going to serve you in some way. At least a part of that cleaning. So let's say I do the microwave today, or the toaster oven, and I do the dish rack. The dish rack is going to be because it's being used for spiritual cleansing and meditation. One of them has to be chosen to serve me because I know that my ancestors, when they were cleaning the slave master's house, it was always to serve the slave master's wife most of all, so she can get served by the slave master. So because I know that type of memory, genetic memory is in me, And I know for a fact, because I'm a descendant of documented slaves, when people tell me I don't have a right to complain about oppression and discrimination, it disrespects me because my grandfather and his mother and his aunt and some other relatives were documented slaves. So it does affect me. I told y'all the story about my grandfather dying of typhoid. Now, Juneteenth. Juneteenth was in the same month as Pride, but nobody wanted to talk about it. You see, because people don't want to be triggered by their lack of compassion or or respect for black people who may possibly had ancestors who were slaves. So Juneteenth is very important to my genetics and my ancestral history because I know mine. But what I'm saying is, in this life and in some of y'all black women's life, y'all are here to be in an energy that your ancestors were not in but wish they could be in. The energy of being able to say, I am the boss of me. Some of y'all had grandmas that could not get in that energy. Sometimes your spiritual contract is unfinished business that is still a part of the unfinished business of your great great grandma during the 1800s. And that's real talk. Contracts in the spirit world can be handed down generation of generation. If you feel as passionate as I am about fighting race disrespect and gender disrespect, then maybe that's in your contract and you need to just stop apologizing about it. Just stop. Just say, guess what? Obviously there's not a big world team for me, but the creator gonna give me a team that is 10 times more abundant than if I had the whole world support. Because I'm fighting for something that a lot of people feel like is unnecessary to fight for. Equality that's not watered down. Because what we're dealing with right now is this is watered down. This is watercolor equality. I'm fighting against that. It's either legit equality, and I don't need my race to be equal. I need treatment equal. I need treatment equal. Because I know I earn it. I know how I treat other people. And I'm speaking for all the black women who know how they treat other people. Treatment equality. So I get my treatment equality. I'm going to fight for that. Because obviously I had an ancestor that felt like they didn't have no way to fight for it. I know George, my grandfather George waited until the slave master died to get freed. And he was one of the victims of covert punishment for being a slave that was freed. Now that's another video I'm gonna talk about, because black women do need reparations. A lot of us do. I will explain why. Okay, but that's a whole other video. We're not talking about we need reparations all because our ancestors were slaves. All right, we need reparations because when they were freed, they was punished for being freed. That's why we need reparations. Okay? What is the point of being given land, and the little breadcrumb opportunities that you got as a slave, you're no longer allowed to get. You're no longer allowed to get, even though you missed out on so much when you was getting the breadcrumb benefits as a slave from your slave master. Yet, now that you're a free slave, it's like, fend for yourself. The government don't got your back. The government don't got your back. We might not be enslaving you, but we don't got your back. Nah, that's still passive abuse. And that's why black people need reparations. Their ancestors' life expectancies was cut short because they were denied even the cheapest medical benefits that they were getting when they were slaves. They were denied that. And and I know people say, well, why didn't they buy it if they had land? Because their land profits were also blocked by racist people who they had contracts with for their corn and their cotton of their land. So even if a black person was freed and given 20 acres and a mule or whatever, when they would go to try to do business with the racist white people, they would not pay them as much as they should be paid for their grains. So they couldn't even afford the benefits that they were getting before when they was a slave. I should do a whole seminar talking about the people who was freed as slaves did not benefit that much unless they was able to really escape the South and run north and almost pass for being white. Or if they managed to marry a white person, like a dark-skinned black woman marry somebody white in the North, but that didn't last too much because the North, a lot of the northern states, they was against interracial marriages. Why? Because they really didn't want the black women especially the black women. They didn't want the black women to inherit any of the white people's land through marriage. So that was also a problem. So it wasn't like, oh, you could just be a black woman and marry white if you ran north after being freed. That was also blocked. Because the white men knew that their white supporters would leave them even in the north, since they did have contracts with people in the south. And that would be bad for business to be supporting someone who's married to a black. So the bottom line is all the business still circled around the white power being increased, even when the blacks were freed, and the consequences, the things that happened because of that was the black people did not live long lives. They got sick, typhoid, typhus, all type of stuff. Especially if their food and water was especially contaminated when they went out to eat. Or they hired cooks who was jealous of the fact that they was freed and they wasn't. So that was another issue where the freed blacks who were left 20 acres and a mule, they might have had black slaves who were paid to sabotage their well water and their food supply. See, it was a lot of shady business going on back then. People are only talking about 20 acres and a mule, but what about the shady business that happened after that? Okay? There were some blacks who were still runaway slaves. They didn't get 20 acres and a mule. And they bought their freedom through bringing down another black person who was free. And that's where we get into the coon situation, where the coons was sabotaging the blacks who were freed just to get on the good side of the white slave masters that they had. So we should not be overly glamorizing having our free rights. Oh, our ancestors were freed. How free was they? With all the covert attacks that was going on after they was free. There was African Americans that was receiving acres and a mule. My grandfather did. Now you know somebody. Now you know somebody. My grandfather, George Patterson. I could show you the genealogy on my family Facebook page. He was given acres and a mule. Okay, his name was George Patterson, my great grandfather who married Ella Fields, Okay, he married Ella Fields. I'm telling y'all my family name in case y'all want to look it up. He married Ella Fields. He was at as a teenager. Okay, his mother, my grandmother, my grandmother, Catherine, and her sister Cassie, Cassie, all slaves, and there was an uncle too under the same roof. I posted the ledger on here before showing the names of my family members, the ledger of their slavery. Okay, some of the slave masters did keep ledgers of the names, and you can see it when you get ancestral history or genealogy report. You can actually see it. Okay, they'll show you, my one grandfather on my father's side actually was working in the Civil War. He was making uniforms, sewing up the uniforms for the Civil War. My mother's grandfather, no, my mother's father was actually in World War II, and he was a prisoner of war. The Nazis had her father. My mother's father was a hostage of the Nazis, and they tortured him and did dirty work to him, dirty on his body. They captured him when he was metal blown in his body, and then they tortured him. And then when the Nazis was overthrown by also American soldiers, they released my grandfather, but he was so badly tortured and abused that he didn't live long. And then he also had mental health problems from the tortures. And that was my mother's grandfather. I mean, my mother's father. I keep forgetting how old I am. I'm older than I look. That was my mother's father. Okay? My mother was somebody that talked about her history. I told y'all on the channel, my mother actually remembered segregation. My mother was born during when segregation was still going on, and her grandmother did not keep her from seeing it. She got to see the segregation. Okay. All right. So, yeah, it is very interesting. I was really shocked and I was really upset and pissed off when I went to my family Facebook. Okay. My family, on my dad's side, now my mother's grandmother, I told y'all, my mother's grandmother was almost whole Blackfeet. My mother's grandmother, my grandmother, her mother was Blackfoot. Okay, now and I knew that grandmother. Her husband was captured by the Nazis. So here I got one grandmother whose mother was Blackfoot, who had her land taken. Her husband, my grandfather, was captured by the Nazis and tortured. That's my mother's side. Okay. My mother's side of the family. My mother's side. On my dad's side, my grandfather, George Patterson, was a teenage slave, and so was his mother and his aunt. This is my dad's side I'm talking about. And my other grandfather of my father's father, so my father's father, my father's grandfather, he was in the Civil War, and he actually sewed the uniforms. So I got one grandfather who was sewing and collecting the uniforms and sewing them and fixing them up for the black soldiers. I got another grandfather who was captured by the Nazis and tortured until he went crazy. And I got a grandmother who was Blackfoot and had her land taken. Her father was pushed off his land, and so was she. Her mother died at giving her birth, so she never knew her mother. My grandmother never knew her Blackfoot mother because she died giving her birth, but she was already pushed off her land. So my grandmother was born on the reservations. My grandmother's my grandmother's family was on the reservations, and then my grandmother moved off the reservations when she met her husband, my grandfather, who was a prisoner of war. Okay. Because I was close to my mother, I tried to be a lot of the history keeper. A lot of the people in my family did not ask questions. I was always asking questions, looking at the records, looking at the photos, asking questions. So I got to see the family photos, the ledgers, and things like that. But I wanted to find out why my grandfather literally was given acres and a mule, but yet he like did not live long. Okay. My grandmother, his daughter is named Wealthy. He named his daughter Wealthy because back in them days, if you was a slave and your master died and gave you land and money, you thought you was wealthy. Back in them days, they have even a little bit of land and a mule. You thought you was wealthy. The slaves thought they was wealthy, so that's why he named my grandmother, his first child, Wealthy. But he did not know he would be sabotaged. He was sabotaged. No one gets typhoid normally during those times. If you got typhoid during that time, it's because it was a way of sabotaging your financial success. Okay, it was very common for people to throw poo in the well water, or people to put poo in the food of blacks who they did not want to have the wealth. When I look at the black and white picture of my grandfather, when the pictures, the black and white big bulb camera thingies, when I look at that picture of him, you could just see the struggle. Like it just like, you could see that he suffered, and I'm like, okay. So basically, as his wealth was growing, and his daughter was getting older, I guess jealousy started to set in. That's probably what happened, and somebody sabotaged him. Because, as I said, the once you were freed as a black person, any medical benefits that you got as a slave, you were no longer entitled to. So it was either that land had to bring you money, enough money to take care of yourself, or you were screwed. See, y'all gotta understand, there was no welfare then. There was no gateway or medical assistance then. So it was either if the slave, if your land, if your cotton, if your grain was not purchased at a decentable price so you could afford medical care for you and everybody in your house, you and your kids, then you were screwed. Now, if typhoid was something that he got because his house was, the food in his house made him sick, why didn't my grandmother get it? He had a baby and a whole wife. None of them died. None of them had it. That's because somebody gave it to him. Somebody got rid of the captain of the house. Okay? That's when my grandmother was old enough then, back then, you didn't have to be a certain age to own your own business. Okay, now it would be like, child labor to be, so young running your own company. Now, my grandmother, his daughter, she was already up in her teens and whatever, so she became a cook. And she became the sole provider of her siblings and her own and siblings, and at one point her own kids, because let's keep in mind she was still born during segregation. So how her husband could only do but so much during segregation, unless she was like, you came from black generational wealth when you were freed. Now remember what I said. My grandfather somehow got typhoid, and they didn't. So he most likely was sabotaged. Maybe he drank from the well water that was polluted, And he got sick, so he told everybody else, don't drink the water. But it was too late. Now, if he had the medical benefits he probably had when he was a slave, then he would have been able to get the rest probably and the medical treatment, the supplies, where he would be able to actually beat typhoid with his immune system. See, people got to understand some things was expensive even when you was a free slave back then. Oranges and apples and and immune system fruit was eaten by the rich. We go now to the store and get oranges and apples and lemons, but that was rich people food back then. Okay, this is why typhoid wasn't something that was killing a lot of the white people in the 1800s. It wasn't. It was killing a lot of black folks because their immune system was weak, especially since their cortisol was high all the time because they were a slave. There's no way your immune system is going to be strong if your cortisol is high all the time. You're stressed out and slaved out. So you would need the rest to bring your cortisol down, and you would need the food that would boost your immune system. And black people, during even Emancipation Proclamation, even when they was emancipated or whatever, they wasn't making nowhere near enough money off their little 20 acres and a mule to be able to bring in enough money to afford organic food and fruits and apples in their own, to keep those trees thriving, to get those seeds, multiple trees or whatever, or to even shop at the farmers markets that the white people were shopping at to afford foods for your immune system. So it wasn't that, just typhoid killed the free black people. It was because they couldn't even get the help to fight it. And it was set up that way. If some of the free black people, family members, came to the stores and said, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that, my father got typhoid, the white people would be like, raise the price. They would raise the price. If they went, now let's keep in mind, that's in the South. There wasn't so many black-owned businesses in the South yet until Emancipation Proclamation was going on for a while. Okay, was going on for a while. There wasn't a lot of trending businesses that the white people were already profiting from. There wasn't a lot of farmers markets, doctor offices owned by black people yet. Okay, there might have been black teachers. There might have been black people working the registers, but they wasn't owning them yet. They weren't really owning them until, I would say, Martin Luther King time. Okay, so even the free blacks were still working under white business owners. And if the white business owner said, no, that person is black with typhoid, they're going to pay double for that orange juice. Okay? Inflation was not controlled as much in the world of freed black slaves back then. Now it's illegal to do that. It's illegal to raise the prices all because I came in and I'm black. But it was common back then. People don't think about this stuff when they think about reparations. They don't think about none of this. That if it was a fair fight, a fair competition, business competition, then the blacks who was given acres and a mule, they would have been keeping up with the white business owners. They wouldn't have been in such small percentage of profit. Just enough so they don't have to be a slave no more. But not enough to actually afford health care when their life was on the line. They still couldn't afford that. I mean, what is one mule going to do compared to 5 mules? The white man got stallions and horses to pull the wagons with the plow the field, and this black man got a mule. Tell me how that's fair competition. That's not really fair competition, y'all. Just saying. The white slave masters then had 4 horses with their wagons. The black people had 1 horse. Somebody said typhoid Mary. The black people had 1 horse with their stuff on their back on the horse, or one little cart dragging behind the horse. I don't see how that's a fair competition, business competition. It's not. The free slaves were given just enough so they don't starve to death in the streets. That was it. That was enough. That's what they was given. Okay? So this is why I'm for reparations, because all the covert little things that went on even before the Emancipation Proclamation was even signed. Emancipation was even signed. Even when black slaves managed to get their freedom from their slave masters, they was passively aggressively free. They wasn't actually peacefully free. Also, if your mental health is under a whole lot of attack because somebody thinks you shouldn't be free, how can you really take care of yourself? Some of y'all have worked jobs. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, I gotta get ready to go. But I find that it was disrespectful that a lot of people weren't talking about black history and African American history, slavery, when we should have been talking about that. We should have been talking about the wars that black people were in, ancestors were in. But everybody was just so hooked on the pride flag. I don't have nothing against the pride flag, but I'm trying to understand why the slavery flag, the free slavery flag, and honoring our ancestors who died for our freedom, like in the Civil War. I'm trying to understand why that flag was so low to the ground through the month of June, and every other flag was higher than it. I find it was disrespectful of my ancestors personally, since I know my history. For example, if not if he was, my grandfather, who was um, one of the people that was making the uniforms in the Civil War, the genealogy report said, on my dad's side, my one grandfather, that means he had to be enlisted. So my grandfather, one of my grandfathers, was a black man in the Civil War. Now, he could have been drafted into the actual war part at any time, and maybe he did already be in one of the wars, so maybe he was injured, and then that's how he became a uniform maker, a uniform deliverer, or whatever. And maybe that's why. Maybe he signed up as a disabled man already, and the work he was able to do was at least collect the uniforms and fix the uniforms and deliver them, and at least he wanted to do some part, you know. I could go digging more into my grandfather's history just from that part of the genealogy ancestor record to see, you know, if there was any part of the war that he actually fought in. But you couldn't make uniforms if you wasn't enlisted, so he still was enlisted. So I feel like that was disrespecting me by the Juneteenth being something nobody was even caring about. Especially since I said that means I had 2 grandfathers. One that was an actual teenage slave, George Patterson, and I forget my dad's name. Oh, it's always on the tip of my tongue. His father, because he died before I was born. I have the genealogy record, and it's on my family Facebook. So that's 2 people. That's one was a slave, and one was enlisted in the Civil War. So I feel down. How much can my family be a part of that and get no reparations? And how much can my family be a part of that And people think that I'm going to stay quiet when they say Juneteenth can kiss my butt. Only flag I'm talking about is the pride flag. I felt very disrespected, and I almost just ghosted all the apps and left online, left the online social world because I felt like it was shoving every other flag down my throat, but it wasn't shoving the Juneteenth down nobody's throat. I barely got a video talking about Juneteenth. I barely saw resources through the social apps. Eventbrite had no activities for honoring the free slaves and men that died for us. 4th of July is about an independence, and there's men that died in Civil War so we can have our independence. My grandfather served in the Civil War for our independence. Yet there was nothing. It was like people see independence just like the movie Independence and just fireworks. But some of us take it seriously because we could not. If my grandfather was killed, I would not exist right now. If my grandfather did not survive the Civil War, there would be no me. This is why your family history is important. It tells you what was needed and what was done so that someday you would exist. I'm just telling the truth, y'all. Now I feel like this. If I can complain about being disrespected as a descendant of two parts of my family tree that had three actually that I know for sure had to deal with oppression and all that and discrimination and on the worst way. If I could complain and say I feel disrespected by that, my roots feel disrespected by the way people don't care, I think people shouldn't argue with me because the Ukraine people are saying they want peace in Ukraine, they want justice or whatever. Pride people say they want justice. Well, guess what? I want the justice that my grandfather didn't get when he got typhoid and it was not investigated, yet nobody else got typhoid in his house. I want his justice. I want the justice of my Native American grandmother, whose father's land was taken and baby was on a reservation. I want justice for that. I want justice for my Civil War grandfather who had to see black man die after black man die and wonder if he was next. And maybe what if he don't get to make uniforms no more and he has to go to the front line like in Glory. I want justice for him getting paid less than the white soldiers. Why? Because that money that he didn't get for him making them uniforms, that affected my generational wealth. Now, people act like people can't look up their You know what amazes me is that people act like black people can't look up their genealogy. We can look up our genealogy. All we got to do is get the maiden name of one of our grandfathers or one of our grandmothers. That's like great grandmother or great grandmother. Talking to your grandmother and asking them to tell you their grandparents' names and looking up their birth certificates. On the birth certificates is their parents' names too. So when people say black people can't trace their roots, yes they can. Every black person can trace their roots. You just got to get access to the birth records and the death certificates. Period. I don't know how this started. Did not one black person know their roots? I don't know how that started. It's just that a lot of black people aren't digging. They're not paying for the genealogy and ancestral reports. They're not going to get their grandmother's birth certificate and their great grandmother's, but they're not doing all that. I think that helps you to deal with society in a different way that better serves you as a black person. When you take time to research your genealogy and you ask your great grandparents and your grandparents questions. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even hear the younger generation asking my generation questions. I never heard none of my daughter's black friends ask me any questions about black history. Why do we act like it don't matter? And then we want to get mad mad when everybody celebrate every other flag history. I'm trying to understand that. We really can't get mad about how everybody rather die for every other problem of every other culture and group. We don't spend enough time learning about our roots. We don't. But I asked questions. I took pictures of my great grandmother and my great grandfather. I got them on my phone. I signed up for the Facebook genealogy group for my family tree, and I go there at least once a month and see what the new records are that my aunt under my great aunt who remembers, uh, that remembers probably the Civil War. She just died. She died not too long ago after my mother. That was a hurt piece. But her daughter has taken over the documentation of my family tree. I'm not my great aunt, my great great aunt that was like 100 years old. Okay, she died some years ago. Like I think like 2015 she died. So I went to her house and she did tell me some stuff, and she gave me some pictures, and she gave me a picture of my grandfather's daughter. The grandfather who was a slave, she gave me a picture of him, black and white, and of his daughter. Okay. All right, which mean she was the sister of my slave grandfather. That's deep when you're like, I knew the sister of my slave grandfather. I didn't know at the time that she was his actual, I'm sorry, the aunt of my sister. Yeah, the sister of my slave grandfather. I didn't know at the time. I just knew that she was way up the tree. Like she was like really old. Like she was like 100 years old almost. So yeah. She probably when she remembered, she can remember before segregation, before there was even emancipation, meaning before Martin Luther King time. She would have been born in like 1930, 1920. She would have been around during the sinking of the Titanic, maybe a little kid. I should have asked her about that. Like, do you remember the Titanic? I should have asked her that. I would have loved to hear what she had said about that, if she had any newspapers for that one. All right, bye everybody. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for listening. Bye.